RL, but here it's a bit more of a dice game, I'll say, and I would like to think that more often than not we win, except when we don't.
Sure, and we don't talk about those times. Talking about those times is for people who don't win. Society calls them losers. This shot getting through has missed. Will make the initial save, and we'll see if Envy can weather this storm that G2 sent in their way. That demo from Mist is certainly going to help as he takes out Chicago. Drees looking for Turbo Pulsa, and then this goes out to the corner. Not quite the play Envy might have been hoping for, and Chicago and Atomic quickly on the counterattack. This drops right down to Chicago, corner and in, and G2 strike first.
And for Mist and Envy, you're going to be looking to continue that physical gameplay in this matchup, but just a bad touch from Mist that gives it right back to Chicago, who is already meeting the possession upfield. You're leaving a 1v2 in the close left of the net. That's something that G2 will not miss. But early on, I like the physicality from Envy. They're going to have to continue that in this series.
Drees walking onto one, looking for a quick equalizer out of Envy. Drees got the demo on Atomic. Keep an eye on that matchup as we continue on. As Chicago back the other way. Stopped by Drees. Turbo takes over. He's got Mist underneath. And the shot still finds its way through. Bank is open, but Atomic will shut it down.
Envy trying to force a lot of these awkward challenges from G2 early on. You see them playing through the corners and then going for team pinches once they're at midfield. That forces JNAPs to play out of position and puts more stress on Chicago to have to make a decision at the goal line. Those are the types of off-tempo plays that will help Envy, but for G2, just getting back to midfield is going to be huge, and those breakaway chances lead way to an open net yet again.
Drees bringing this to ground and still ends up over his head. And a good ball played in by JNAPs. Nobody could get onto that, and now it'll be Drees trying to take it himself over JNAPs. Not happening, and G2 keeps the shutout going. Just past 90 seconds here in game one. Now Mist. Turbo running interference to make sure. And a defensive breakdown from G2 allows Envy to tie it.
That's that commitment from Mist, and Turbo didn't even attempt to follow up on one extra. He just leaves it way where that open right side of the post means you can get physical, and that's exactly what Turbo does. We watched him in warmups being very quick and eager to play towards the backboard and get physical on the goal line. Early on, Envy taking advantage of the space that G2 give them, and G2 not doing a good job of clearing the ball back downfield.
Well, back out this goes for Turbo, looking to find Mist at his own back wall and try and take one step forward and a giant leap ahead, or one step backward and a giant leap ahead. It does not work out. That does, though. Turbo way downfield. And Atomic, good first touch to kind of shake Drees. And now this will drop down for Turbo at midfield, 50 with JNAPs. And Drees' shot saved away by Atomic. Again, those two are going to cross paths a lot over the next almost certainly 5 games. Here's Drees. Atomic taking out Turbo behind, but Mist is still available. Couldn't get onto this, though, and JNAP sends it right back. Nothing between Envy and G2 early on here. As Achieves, I think you've got an update for us as some other series have gotten underway very early here in this third round.
My fault. I will try that one again. XSET currently up 1-0. 0 seconds on the clock. Ball's flying through the air, and it's curious to see whether or not anyone... Oh my gosh, they did it! The SONIQS found an equalizer at 0 seconds. Would you believe it?
Wow. Well then, JNAPs adding one here off the feed from Chicago. 2-1 to G2 in our opening game here in the third round. Again, so much on the line here between these two squads when you look ahead to this weekend and the turning point in the North American winter split as Mist just got there ahead of Chicago. Now this will go all the way across for Chicago, right back into the play, looking for JNAPs again. Atomic, his main role here has been enforcer, running interference. He's might have more bumps than ball touches so far here in this first game. Turbo can't force this through JNAPs, so Drees will come up and try as everybody rotates out. This goes across, but Turbo couldn't turn on it, and Atomic with another big clear, burning more time off the clock and forcing Envy to work from their own back line again.
That's been G2's game plan in the last 3 minutes or so of this game, get Atomic to midfield and force them to challenge Drees, force them to challenge Turbo. And if they can, you get G2 to hold on to possession in their back line, punch it downfield where JNAPS can overextend. You try to set up some offense, maybe some passing through the corners. Still, though, it's good pressure from Envy. They're just looking for that second goal that eludes them, and that's been nice defense on the other side for G2.
This comes out mostly neutral. Turbo trying to get there. JNAPS had to contend with Mist, couldn't get a clean touch. And now Drees' shot right at Chicago. Easy save, and JNAPS made sure to get the corner boost so Turbo couldn't get the boost starve going. And that allows G2 to break out rather easily. Goes Turbo again with 20 seconds left. Again, just big, long clears back the other way. Not letting Envy get set up in the zone. This might help, though. Missed for Turbo Pulsa, and JNAPS stopped that before it even became a shot. Down to 5 seconds left as Chicago just drifts right through everybody, but there's still time, and there's still Drees on the ball. JNAPS stuffs him, and now Turbo Pulsa doesn't really have anybody else forward, and Atomic will try to guide this to ground and will not get there just yet. Still some life for Envy. Until now, G2 hangs on to take game 1.
And that's called patient play from G2. They let Envy do what they want on the other side of the field, but as soon as you cross that 50-yard line, G2 put players in position to at least contest and make the shot more difficult, so it's not clean touches towards the backboard, nor is it clean shot attempts. And that's why G2 are so good. They can just put 1 or 2 shots on board. If they get lucky enough, they have the lead, they starve you out at midfield. And Atomic did a very good job of just getting in front of Envy when they needed to escape uncontested. That's a pretty clean win across the board.
It could be a lot worse for both of these teams. They did not play maybe their absolute best. A lot of jabs thrown out there, kind of a feeling out process in game 1. It's G2 that comes out on top in the opening game. Still a long series ahead, even though just 5 games between G2 and Envy.
Yeah, good first thrust for G2 as well. And just to follow up, XSET going to win 3-0 over SONIQS. It only took him 11 seconds in overtime after SONIQS scored that. So very quickly, XSET securing their spot in day 3 because SONIQS went 0-3. No need for tiebreakers in Group C because this is the other match and the other ones are going to be on top. So that's about it for that one. And Charlotte Phoenix just played about a 9-minute overtime against Shopify Rebellion. I can't see right now. Yes, they did. They did. They beat Shopify in game 1. So they
talk about a team. Yeah, you talk about a team that has had a road to get here. We might be able to talk about it a little bit later on, especially if they're playing 9 or 10-minute overtimes. We got some business here, though, between Envy and G2. Game 2 now on your screen as Chicago tries to bring one in quickly. They scored early, did G2 in the first game. Envy did have a reasonably quick answer, and then G2 went ahead again and never looked back. JNAPS downfield with Chicago sprinting down there. Boost steals galore. Problem is, nobody got the ball, and that means Envy can break back out. That's a good stop there by Atomic, just getting a touch in that back once it came. And now Turbo Pulsa out to the wing. Nothing doing there. There's Chicago, and he just couldn't catch up to it.
If you remember back to game 1, it was Mist who opened up the trading with a demo early on, the first 10 seconds. And then after that, Envy didn't have much to show for it on the enforcing side. So you're looking for that physicality to continue like we talked about, but also trying to pull out defenders of G2 from their own goal line, because as soon as Envy get downfield, G2 take the ball away and then pop it back to midfield. And from there, you play with JNAPS and Chicago in transition. It's been very easy to read. Envy not super creative on their transitions, but just looking for something to open up.
Oh, this will be Atomic's ball all the way, and lobbing one up there. Chicago is there as well. JNAPS will bring it right back in, trying to throw off the Envy defense, and Turbo just spikes that down to ground and lets Drees take over. He'll get by Chicago, but not Atomic. Chicago's demo takes out Turbo Pulsa, who spawns right near Drees, almost took him out when he respawned back in. And now Atomic couldn't quite gain control. He'll try now as he just dashes along. JNAPS couldn't get around on the shot.
Good patience from Turbo not to commit on that read. If he jumps that and you get a clean touch from JNAPS, that's probably a goal for G2. but the goal line defense is holding strong for the moment. However, they have to worry about turtling up. Drees uncomfortable rotating back to the net, but Turbo escapes downfield. Just can't get it over JNAPS, but did enough for Envy to now swing into offense.
Drees and Chicago, they were locked up for a moment. And then they both decided, you know what, rather than this Rule 1 nonsense, we actually kind of want to win. So they both broke out of it. Here goes Turbo. Not cleanly around Chicago. This will drop down towards Drees with Mist taken out behind him. That put Drees in a real awkward spot. And the youngster responded admirably as he'll make a save here too on JNAP's effort. And now Mist trying to track this from Atomic. His former teammate, Atomic, comes out the better of the two.
If you're watching Drees and you're wondering why he isn't contributing offensively, he's actually doing a more important job. He's maintaining pace for Envy at midfield. He's doing what Atomic did so well for G2 in Game 1, is continuing to contest, and more importantly, he's rotating back in time to get quick saves to dish it out to someone like Turbo in transition. Drees is doing a very nice job, and that's something that will not show up on the stat card.
The one criticism that's going to be there, looking at Drees and how he has or hasn't fit in with Envy early on. He fit in with G2 a lot better early on when he joined that team, taking over for Rizzo during the spring of 2021. As JNAPS will play one out to the wing. It's Drees waiting there. Drees looking for Turbo Pulsa. Hits the 4-time, but his shot is high. Follow up now from Mist. Should be an easy ball for JNAPS. It is. And he'll just float onto this, go right over top of Drees. And again, the attack is on for G2 with a minute to go.
With the pressure now mounting for Envy to get something on the board, seldomly have we seen G2 put their offense to full use on the other side of the field. They've been very quick to sit back. Chicago very dangerously pushes that one to the corner. Envy now pressing the attack, but they still come up short yet again, Stacks. It seems like no matter what they try, G2 are ready for it and very quickly go right back down. Atomic can't get in front of it, and Envy now need to hold on to keep this one tied at 0.
When we look at the juggernauts that have been at the top of North America, of course, these are two of the teams we think about. We think about NRG as well. We'll get an update on their match going on in Group A in just a moment as Drees makes the save. And he'll carry this out. Roll one by. Chicago's waiting, and Atomic started to come towards Chicago. Had to go back up in the air. The chemistry not quite there just yet between these two newfound teammates. So there's a good win by JNAPS. Mist has to race back with 9 seconds left. Got around one. Atomic forces us all the way through. Drees and Turbo both stuck in the Envy net, but Turbo just throws one downfield, and we are overtime bound in Game 2.
This was offense for 4 minutes by Envy and clean defense, and then a flip, a complete 180 from both sides, but nobody able to find that opening goal as Mist takes it right off the kickoff and showing some life for Envy early on. We are now looking at Drees. We put him under the microscope and say, you did so well for the first 5 minutes. Now you need to contribute on the offensive end and get physical to respond against someone like Atomic in Chicago, who have had free real estate upfield. A double tap from Atomic. JNAPS puts it on target, but saved by Envy. They needed that big.
And it's Drees that got there right at the last possible moment, falling into his net to make that save. Now here goes JNAPS out of the play as he gives away to Drees. This is perilously close, and Drees almost forced it to go through. It's up the post and out. How many shots have we seen hit almost the outside of the post and find its way in? That did not, and we keep going through the first minute of OT.
G2 has started to double commit as well. They don't have a lot of boost to escape. Finally, JNAPS gets away and leaves midfield for Atomic. Atomic will not challenge, though, and that miss by Drees could open up things for G2. But instead, we punch it right back to midfield, and it doesn't look like G2 really knows how they want to approach this just yet.
Both teams waiting for the other to just do something, anything. This is something out of Mist, but JNAPS rolls that all the way across to Chicago. He gave up the back boost to try and force the issue downfield. Double commit, though, between Mist and Turbo didn't quite work out, and now the shot sends Drees and Mist crisscrossing.
Atomic very keen on punching to the corner, playing clear ball, where Chicago's going to hang around midfield, and they've left JNAPS as the goalie back time and time again. I mean, it hasn't not worked out, but very hesitant from G2, something we're not used to seeing. And for Envy, they should be recognizing some of this inconsistency and starting to move upfield a little bit more aggressively.
Turbo pulse up, bar down, and still out. Off a defender as that rolled out. Again, so many times we see that ball do something completely different, but not this time. JNAPS over to Drees, saves that one wide. Again though, Chicago coming on, that's high and away.
Everybody's afraid of making the first mistake. We spent 5 minutes, make it 7 minutes now in OT, turning left, and now everyone's turning right into the wall. Atomic, a chance, blocked by Drees, huge open net, nobody else back for Envy, closing it with just under 2 minutes and 40 seconds in OT. G2 get the freest goal of the tournament so far.
That is wild. How many times did this game almost end? Even in regulation, a few shots that absolutely should have found their way through. And Envy gonna be looking back at this one going, we had our opportunities, but you saw the numbers there.
Yeah.
Look how vastly they were outshot. 18-7. JNAPS and Atomic each had as many shots on target as Envy, and they didn't let Mist get anything near the mark. They got 3 saves out of him. That was it. They got 6 saves out of Drees. Double savior. You need that boy forward if you're Envy to have a shot against G2. He cannot be hemmed in his own back line trying to play hero at the goal.
Certainly a tough one there for Envy and G2, both trying to figure out how exactly they want to do it. But if you want updates from other groups, Group A, Rogue 3-0, gentlemen. So, looking good for them.
That's what they needed to do, yeah.
Yes, and that means that if NRG beats V1, it'll be Rogue versus NRG in the tie breaks, and if version 1 wins, then in version 1 will be 1 seed, Rogue will be 2 seed, NRG will be 3 seed. So that's how that's all shaking out. But currently, version 1 fighting back in game 4, 443 left, 1-0. So chance there to go to game 5 if they can hold that lead. And Charlotte Phoenix and Shopify Rebellion, Shopify fighting back as well. They're currently in game 3.
So, boy, that Group A tiebreaker. That is looking spicy.
Are you having fun yet?
I'm having so much fun. Just kind of keeping an eye out for the results as they come in. Of course, Achieve's keeping us updated as well. But we're back to business here in game 3. A must-win for Team Envy. Else, they will lose out on a huge opportunity here in the Rocket League NASCAR 351. Here's Drees. Right at Atomic. And Atomic came out the better of the two. A decisive victory. And G2 scores first again.
Well, that's the offense that G2 is so known for, right? Like this quick passing, the constant attack. They're like piranhas when they get around the goal line. And just hesitance from Drees. Unsure how he wants to clear the ball. And immediately as that was smelled in the water, they just circle in. They find what they need. Off the kickoff. Drees, okay, takes it downfield. And Envy suddenly are back in this thing.
Drees just diving in. Occasionally, the pro might miss, and JNAPS couldn't get a touch. Drees follows through, immediately gets it back. Game on here in game 3. Just remember though, G2 has scored first now in all 3 games, up 2-0 in the series. Triple match point. We have seen a best of 5 reverse sweep today, in fact. It was Charlotte Phoenix coming out on top over Complexity, and Atomic scores again. 3 goals in the first minute between Envy and G2.
I think all of a sudden everybody realized what exactly is on the line in this series. Atomic gets it curled right over the right wheel and slows it as it fades into the post. This is the style of offense G2 do so well, and for Envy, the response has been huge, but this is where you're relying on your IGL, your leader, your veteran, Turbo, in this situation, knowing that you're not going to be out of the tournament, but the last game you probably should have walked away with. Now you need to rely on him to get everybody back on track.
Well, it's Drees around 1, but that's it. This goes right to Atomic. Couldn't have asked for a better ball to just fall right into his lap. And he's got the boost steal and the shot, but sent away. Actually more of a centering pass, but nobody else from G2 could get there in time. And now Turbo Pulsa, right to miss. JNAP saw it coming. Easy stop as Chicago plays that across. Dangerous ball that Atomic just barely got to ahead of Turbo. And now it's Atomic losing control right at Drees. And the two teams continue to exchange jabs at midfield. That's going to be a little high. Mist had to go up to get it. And now Atomic bringing another back in. Very little reprieve here for either team defensively. Both teams, once they get in the attacking third, they are just all over you as Turbo plays that back down to his own back corner, looking for Drees. At least got there. But then look, here's JNAPS again. You cannot rest at all if you're Envy on your own back line.
I mean, it really feels like we're watching two teams play a game of sixes with they've traded one player. Now we're going to feel each other out. Then when we realize we're halfway through the series, we understand the tendencies, the play style. Now we can start to open up more on offense. And all of a sudden, the confidence is back for G2. It's back for Envy and Atomic. A little post-hook fade. JNAPS towards the backboard. Follow-up chance after chance. G2 really putting pressure on Envy to have to get boost to clear this ball away.
Drees did real well to get that coming off the crossbar and not let it go bar down. Had it done so, might have found its way into the net. But who knows the way the posts are playing in this series. Here is JNAPS, his shot saved away by Mist as Chicago eats a demo on the weak side. And Drees can't get up for this ball. Here comes G2 yet again. Atomic burns all of his boost to set up JNAPS. That's set away as well. But again, the new machine, perhaps, G2, continues to apply pressure. Oh, Atomic, a lot of room to work with. Couldn't get the second touch.
That's a huge clear by Turbo. Look how far upfield he's playing now. He could circle through the left side, get boost, and Drees can now get the call to do whatever he wants with the ball. Unfortunately, didn't have enough in the tank to really extend. Mist will now move up to the second rotation. That means that Drees will fall back just in case, and that's an overextension by Drees. Luckily, not enough of a threatening shot. With two demos, it's a 1v3. Surely Atomic can't stall out in time. And as I say that, he does just that.
You were saying, yeah. Well, while we're in between G2's terrifying trips in front of the Envy net achieves, you've got an update for us, I believe.
Complexity and Space Station 2-2, looking like potentially overtime in Game 3. If Complexity pulls this one out, there could be a potential tiebreaker as Charlotte Phoenix losing ground here against Shopify Rebellion. Rebellion just won Game 3.
Oh, JNAPS bounces one through, and that may put this series away, and we may be able to get a quick look at some of those other series going on, maybe sooner than we would have thought. What an intercept from JNAPS at midfield.
He may lead North America in assists, but he's also pretty good at getting rebounds and putting a shot on target. And every time we bring in the Chiefs, somebody scores. I'm starting to think there's a trick here or something like that.
You never know, as there might be.
Well, let's see.
Did he do it again?
On the Envy half of the field, and Jeeves pops it again.
Chiefs, you're so good.
That's actually uncanny. I'm terrified now.
Jeeves is now available for team streams, birthday parties, and weddings.
I'll get you my rates.
There you go. 36 seconds remain before this one, unfortunately, mercifully comes to a close for Envy. They're going to get swept by G2, barring something truly miraculous, as Atomic will just throw one into the corner. Will be Drees downfield. Turbo had to dance around Atomic. 20 seconds left. Got to have a shot in here to have a prayer, and this stays on the goal line and finally goes through, but another 5 or 6 seconds came off the clock.
All I'm focused on is that there's still 14. The dream is alive if you're an Envy fan. You have a moment, a chance. But how many times in this series do we see a shot like that from Envy where it just didn't bounce their way? Finally, they get a lucky one, and a kickoff goal would be huge.
Yeah.
Great fake.
Two words.
Drees that so well.
Not happening.
Keep faith.
Hey, you know what? I like the idea. You go into the bag of tricks, pull a rabbit out of the hat, see what happens. Didn't quite work out for Envy. They may get one here just to make it look close. But this was clinical for the most part from G2 as they hang on. And in the end, it is 3 one-goal games in a 3-0 sweep over Envy.
It wasn't a rabbit they pulled out. It was a salamander.